If you want to learn a new language but you don't know how long it will actually take you to learn, well, this is for you. Have you ever heard of the famous FSI language difficulty chart? Whichever language you want to learn is going to be in there. Spanish, Russian, you name it. And I'm going to show you all the rankings from easiest to hardest and what they mean so that you can easily choose your next language to learn. And I'm even going to throw in a mystery language to guess as well. Let's go.
Hola, niños! Me llamo Matt Foley. Y yo soy un motivational speaker.
Right, so I may as well be upfront about this. The Foreign Service Institute, the FSI, did not actually design this chart especially for you and me. They designed it for people with far more dangerous jobs. Anyone know the story? Well, I'll come back around to it. But first, do you recognize this language?
Amo tutte quelle che sono le sfaccettature nostre italiane, anzi amo viaggiare, amo scoprire nuove culture, però mi ritrovo qui poi nella mia città, noi siamo a Napoli in questo momento.
Italian is in category 1, and in the world of language learning, category 1 is like playing with kittens. Okay, maybe we're starting with feral kittens, but you can tame them easily with a little patience. All of these languages are just like that. We've got our Romance languages, our Nordic languages, these two cool little sisters. Basically, category 1 is a mix of Romance and Germanic languages. Now, if you've never learned a language before, any of these ones here will make for a perfect starting point. You could nail your first foreign language in about half a year of proper study, which is pretty cool, right? Let's see what we're looking at. Do you see these numbers here? These are estimates for how long it takes the average Joe to reach a decent level in a category 1 language. What's decent? Well, we would call this B2 or upper intermediate. Think of how good you'd have to be to easily join in a conversation with native speakers, and that gives you the idea pretty much. So you'll be able to talk about pretty much anything, even in a work situation, and even when you make mistakes, and you still do make plenty of mistakes at this level, it flows and people understand you, you understand them for the most. Sound good? That's the sort of benchmark we're talking about here. Now, of course, these 24 odd weeks are based on you actually putting in the work. You'll be practicing every day. This is not a once a week evening class situation. You have to be studying in order to fit into this time frame. And we'll come back to what counts as a lesson a little bit later. But first, you're probably wondering, why are these 10 languages the easiest? And that's a good question. Well, it's because these languages are the most similar to English, and we're assuming that English is our starting point for this, right? So for starters, we share an absolute ton of words.
Je sais pas si vous êtes comme moi et si vous adorez le chocolat, et ça fait très longtemps que j'avais envie de faire ce dessert qu'on mange au restaurant. Bonjour, Erwan Garel.
So have you ever heard of a restaurant that serves delicious chocolate? Of course you have. Any restaurant worth its salt serves delicious chocolate. But these three words here, restaurant, delicious, and chocolate, these words are going to be very, very similar in other languages. Take French, for example. Restaurant, délicieux, chocolat. Let's take Italian, ristorante, delizioso, cioccolato. You see? Now, check this out. Plenty of words similar to English thanks to our Latin friends. Now, those Germanic languages, how do they fit? Well, will you look at that?
Har dere mere igjen av sjokoladen?
Yeah, the Scandinavian languages also have plenty more in common with English, and I'm really gonna just choose a random sentence and see what happens when I translate. Okay. Wow, thank you Vikings, and thank you to you guys for watching as well. It really means a lot to me that you watch these videos, and I really appreciate you watching. And if you have never clicked the subscribe button on my channel, it would really mean a lot for me if you do it. It helps YouTube get the video out to more people, which means the channel grows. We get to spread the word about the joy of language learning. So click that subscribe button, that would mean a lot to me. Now, as for category 1 languages pronunciation, well, this could be a bit of a challenge. And I'm looking at you, French R.
Une araignée.
But nothing you can't handle. And I bet you could do this too.
R con R, guitarra. R con R, barril. Rápido ruedan los carros. Rápido el ferrocarril.
Can you? Personally, for me, it took me 2 years of practice when I was like 20 or something to learn to roll my R's. It just suddenly came one day. It's one of those things you just got to keep practicing and eventually it comes. And the hardest Scandinavian sounds are hiding in Danish. That's my opinion anyway, and I'm sticking to it.
This blanket is very soft. It is blød. Blød.
I don't know what they were thinking. Very funny Danish. But it's not just about words. This category has grammatical structures as well that, while not identical to English, won't exactly twist your brain into too many knots. Norwegian's a breeze. Spanish has tricky conjugations, but notice the pattern. Dutch can have fun with sentence structure, but it's not all that complex. Which brings us to those alleged 600 hours that it takes to learn one of these Category 1 languages. Now, obviously, everyone is going to be a little bit different, and to be honest, French is probably going to take a bit longer, but does this mean you can get there just playing Duolingo for 6 months? Anything else you might need? Well, let me tell you how I did it. In my case, French was actually my first foreign language, and I was lucky because I got to live in Paris for 6 months, and so I was exposed to the language quite a lot. But the main thing that experience gave me was the confidence to know, yes, I, a monolingual 19-year-old British kid, can learn another language. It is totally possible. And so that confidence meant that when I went home and then I started learning other languages like Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and so on, it gave me the confidence to say, look, if I just sit down and really focus on this for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, I can be speaking really well by the end of 6 months. And I feel like that confidence is just a big part of it, which is why it's so important to study with a good method, to put yourself in the right environment, to create this structure around you that's actually going to help you stick to it and give 100%. Because if you can do that, then you can learn really, really quickly. But would you try and do something like this yourself? Does it sound doable with a Category 1 language? Well, wait till we level up, because this is still kitten time right here. I want you to imagine preparing for a Cold War espionage mission, and you only got months in which to learn Russian. Sounds pretty daunting, doesn't it? Which reminds me, why did the Foreign Service create these categories in the first place? Well, it was in the 1940s. World War II was over and US diplomats suddenly needed to be everywhere around the world. Know these guys? And they had to be extremely good in languages for some very important jobs. So ranking languages in categories helped just streamline their training. The rankings take into account all the big things, like how hard the words are, how tough the grammar is, and so on. But we're just hitching a ride here, leveraging the same classifications to choose our best language, live our best lives. And why not? If you ask me, it helps immensely to know how long a language like Zulu might actually take. Meanwhile, things can only go uphill in a video like this, and there's something very weird going on in Category 2.
Ich war gestern mit meiner Katze spazieren draußen.
An der Leine, oder? Und das findet ihr okay?
Ja, der ist das gewöhnt. Also,
Und was ist, wenn ein Hund kommt?
dann greift er an. Er ist sehr gefährlich.
Wer, der Hund oder der
Nein,
Kater?
der Kater. Der ist gefährlich.
In Category 2, we are stepping up the game a little bit. This lane is for languages similar to English, but with unique challenges and might take you around 30 weeks of proper study to learn. Here we have languages like German and, well, just German actually. German is the only language in this category. Go figure. And that B2 level that I mentioned earlier is actually a really good goal. At this level, you're very unlikely to ever forget what you've learned. It's a level at which your fluency doesn't ever really go away, and it gives you a wonderful kind of free feeling when speaking the language.
The butterfly, la mariposa, la farfalla, le papillon, der Schmetterling.
Well, that doesn't sound like English at all. At first glance, German looks like a knotty forest of consonants, but it's closer to English than you might think, minus a few grammar quirks that, bump it up to level grueling. Let's see what we've got.
German, the word for queue is Warteschlange. And if you translate that word by word, it is waiting snake.
A waiting snake makes a lot more sense than this word. So yes, a lot of German words are similar to English, but that's the easy part, you see. But then they go and stick them together and make these longer words, and suddenly German starts to look really hard.
Nahrungsmittelverträglichkeit. Nahrungsmittelunverträglichkeit.
I have no doubt you already know all about German pronunciation, all those Lichten, Nixen, Streich, I don't speak German. What the hell do I know? Who am I kidding?
Streichholzschächtelchen. Streichholzschächtelchen. Fast. Aber das S am Anfang ist Streichholz, ist ein S wie ein S. Streich. Oh. Streich. Streich.
But in spite of the craziness of German words that wanted to do your head in, sentences go subject, verb, object, just like in English. Just watch out for verbs that kind of sneak off to the end of the sentence, because that can happen too. All in all, German getting its own category is justified by lots of irregularities with verbs, gendered nouns, and all those complicated cases. You seen these? You have to learn the base article of each noun, der, die, das, as if they're conjoined twins or something. But at least in this category, things are still very, very logical.
Ich finde Süßigkeiten geil.
Ich esse jetzt Kekse.
Ich nasche gerne Schokolade.
Now, Now, I'll be honest, German and me, well, we're not the best of friends, but people like this are inspiring. Now, time to guess that mystery language. What's it going to be? You must guess the identity of this language and its FSI category. The moment you have an answer, write it in the comments. And none of that skipping to the end of the video to cheat nonsense. Guess the language, stick it in the comments. You ready for the clues? Here we go. So, first clue. The name of the language means river dweller. And it's a fascinating blend of native words with Spanish, Chinese, English, and Arabic influences. A sentence that starts with a verb, that's right at the beginning of the sentence, but the rest of the sentence is crazy flexible. Oh, and they love their particles all over the shop. Now, second clue, read this script. Whatever is this pretty writing? Well, here comes the final clue. You ready?
Apat ang kapatid ko, ako yung ate, at ang sarap ko gumawa ng sinigang na baboy with extra gabi. Ang sarap. And hindi pa ako nakakatikim ng dinugaan. Ayoko.
Guess this language and the FSI level in the comments, please. The big reveal is coming later.
Halo, jina langu naitwa Leonard Oscar, ni Mtanzania, sasa hivi niko Mozambiki. Mimi ni mwanamuziki, nafanya music ya Afro, nafundisha pale Mayday, na college music nafundisha.
Now, I love this category. Things are starting to get mighty interesting. Think of it like we are nicking into Narnia quickly from your old wardrobe. Go with me on this one. We've got Swahili, Malaysian, and Indonesian in here. And at first, you're kind of recognizing some things. The letters look kind of normal. The sounds are easy.
Apple, astrology. Apple, astrology.
Swahili, it's very easy to learn. You pronounce the words the way they're written. There is no any complications. How you see the word, this is how you pronounce it.
But hang on just 1 minute.
Kipi kikusikiti shacho.
Yan Horace, wait, what?
Okay. Kipi kikusikiti shacho. Let's try it again. Kipi.
Kipi.
Kiku.
Kiku.
Sikiti shacho.
Sikiti chacho.
Sikiti shacho.
Well, this is a different animal from English or German. Swahili's verb conjugation is next level, and they have 9 noun classes. What is a noun class? Well, in Swahili, it's all about what category a thing is. For example, is it living or non-living? And then it gets a special prefix or suffix. It works a lot like gender in Spanish or German, except that it's not just the adjectives that have to match the noun. Just about everything has to match. That's right. Swahili can pack a lot of information into one word.
As Kenyans have been challenged by Tanzanians to say this word, and I'm going to try. Kipi kikusiti kishacho. Kipi kikusiti kishacho.
Easy. Now, what else do we have? Bahasa Indonesia shares some words with English thanks to Dutch colonization.
Handuk. Handuk. Gratis. Gratis. Koper. Koffer.
All these riveting language connections. I love this stuff. Pronunciation is phonetic, like Swahili. There are no tenses, no articles, no plurals. Wait, no plurals? That's right. Welcome to a new thing. Reduplication. See this?
I just discussed plurals with English and German, and I just hope you make it simple. Okay, to make a word plural, just say 2 times. You mean? Yeah, so if person is orang, many people is orang-orang. Orang-orang, yes.
Just repeat something to make more of it. What's not to love about that? And here's another new concept, levels of politeness.
That was one of the hardest hurdles for me, was trying to learn how to talk to people my age on the street. It's like if I was speaking like I was reading Shakespeare to an American. That's not how people talk. They talk completely differently. That's definitely the hardest part about learning Indonesian.
I can't decide whether Indonesian or Swahili seem easier, but category 3 definitely ramps up the challenge. Now, just wondering, how many of you have tried to learn one of the languages we've had so far? How's it going? Are you speaking it yet? And by the way, if you ever want to try learning a language in a more fun way, well, you should definitely check out StoryLearning, because the word on the street is StoryLearning is what you do when you've tried everything else and you are finally ready to learn your new language. It is a different thing. Seriously, we taught tens of thousands of students a new language using this method. But what is the deal with story learning? Well, it's pretty simple, really. You learn a language using stories, and it works like a bomb because the language sticks in your head more easily. A little bit like peanut butter sticks to the roof of your mouth, the way that songs get stuck in your head and just don't disappear. This is the magic of stories. You really do learn faster this way. And if you're keen to see how it works, you can get a free guided tour of the story learning method. Just look in the video description below for my story learning kit. You can click the link there and it'll take you to the right place, and everything else will work out just like magic. And now for this next category, I do hope you brought your bear spray, because this is bear country.
Ну а позже я пойду на тренировку по танцам, свою собственную, поэтому Наслаждаюсь сначала природой, потом наслаждаюсь внутренними какими-то впечатлениями, эмоциями и умениями.
Beautiful, but the alphabet is about to go on a bit of a bender. We are now up to languages that take 44 weeks of intensive learning, and you're going to need those weeks, my friend.
If you think about it, 1,100 classroom hours. For every 25 hours that they spend in classroom each week, they spend another 15 hours doing homework for 44 weeks long after each other. So that's a total of 1,760 hours.
Just picture Category 4 as a real adventurer's domain where languages like Russian and Thai await, with wild, exquisite scripts and bear wrestling grammar. You're looking at languages with significant linguistic and cultural differences from English.
Монгол хүмүүс болохоор тэрийг яаж хийж байгаа болгочдөг. Ямар нэг хар ухаанаар тэрийг ингээд бодоход болчих юмыг солонгосчууд ингээд энэ ингээ болохгүй яг нэг тийм зангаараа айгүй амар өөр санагдсан.
This sound even remotely familiar to you? It is Mongolian, of course it is. What else is it going to be? There are more languages in this category than any other. I mean, look at this list. What do we have? Well, there's a bit of Asia, a bit of Africa, all the most challenging European languages, the Slavics, the Baltics, Icelandic.
Ég leit pínu út eins og þarna Ísdrottningin í Narníu, veit ég hvað ég að tala um. Ok, ég veit að það er sumar en ég stóðst ekki freistinguna. Mér líður eins og einhverju ísprinsessu og það er 20 steg hiti úti. Ándjúst, það er 20 steg hiti úti.
And we should give these 3 awards for being so hard. Let's see if you can twist your tongue around this.
Whoa. Look at that word. Look at it. Who creates this stuff? Whoa.
Össevisarság, mess. Kjálkafjarðartungur, Barkastaðagilslægðir.
So what is new on the grammar menu? Well, spelling is fiercer, verbs look intimidating, and the case systems are absolutely off the charts. Russian has 6 cases, Polish has 7, Hungarian, I can't even say it. Told you, this is bear country right here, which I love, of course. What else we got?
Happy birthday สุขสันต์วันเกิด ขอให้มีความสุขมากๆ
Finally, an excuse for Thai. Must be my birthday or something. If you've never seen the Thai alphabet, look at this beauty. Thai is an intricate system all of its own. And Georgian? Well, don't get me started about Georgian. Let's bust a myth quickly, though. Most people think that languages with different alphabets, like Greek or Thai, are immediately much harder to learn. But learning a new alphabet is often one of the easiest parts of the language learning process. You know, it's a little bit of work up front, but once you've learned it, you've learned it. Now, it's not always the case. There are scripts like Japanese kanji or Chinese characters which are legitimately a real headache. But don't let the fact that a language has a different script put you off learning. There's one alphabet that's really so cool and super easy, which I may or may not share later. Let me have a think about it. And you know what? A lot of our students here at StoryLearning find the fresh start with the new alphabet, new script, pretty helpful without preconceived pronunciation rules and things. And yet they also do get really, really good at reading as well. If you're looking for short storybooks, we have plenty of them right here in all kinds of different languages. I mean,
คือย้ายไปอยู่ตั้งแต่เด็กมากจนแบบคือในใจเราเป็นคนไทยไปแล้วเรารู้สึกว่าแล้วเพื่อนของเราก็มองเราเป็นคนไทยเขาไม่ได้ใช่หน้าตาเราฝรั่งรูปคือทุกอย่างเราเป็นฝรั่งแต่ว่าด้วยนิสัยด้วยอะไรต่างๆนานาแล้วเนี่ยเขาก็
Another new thing Category 4 introduces is tones. Ever heard of tones? Probably have. Thai, for example, has 5 tones: high, low, rising, falling, and mid-tone. Vietnamese has 6.
Ba, 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 ba.
Tones make a language much harder for English speakers because one word can be pronounced in a few different ways, and if your tone is off, you won't be saying what you think you're saying, which can be a bit awkward.
Oh no, 坐在我的椅子上，坐在孩子的身上，这是家具，不是人啊！椅子，椅子，不是椅子。
Thai has no tenses, but it does have these things called particles at the end of a sentence that show the tense or attitude. Now, I'm not done here. Thai has a fascinating new concept to impress you with as well.
If you are a female speaker, you would say ฉันมาจากประเทศ and if you are a male speaker, you would say ผมมาจากประเทศ
This is unusual. It's a politeness thing. In Thai, male and female speakers end their sentences differently. If you're female, anything you say at the end of a sentence gets a ka, and if you're male, you finish with a krab.
สวัสดีค่ะนันโนนะคะ
Don't worry, just go with it. You know, these languages are certainly not all the exact same level of trickery, are they? Can we put stars next to the hardest ones? Hope this helps. And guys, please remember one thing. It doesn't even matter how hard a language is. Any language can be learned. This is all about strategy. Even Russian, difficult language like Russian, has tons of easy bits. There are lots of free tips on our website at StoryLearning.com when you need them. The main thing to remember about languages is if you've got a real genuine motivation to learn a language for whatever reason, then that itself will make it the easiest language for you to learn. Don't let any of these categories stop you. If you're convinced, if you're determined to learn a language, you will learn it. That's the most important thing. Now, I don't know if you noticed something. There are so many wonderful languages here, but I'm not seeing Navajo or Balinese. What's going on here? Well, it turns out it's pretty hard to fit 7,000 languages into one chart. So FSI concentrated on languages that their diplomats needed. Any languages you'd add to this? Go on, tell us what you would add to this in the comments. Now, the next one, I've got to warn you, is a big jump. It's a monstrous jump. Ready to add an extra 44 weeks onto your learning plan? I know I would be. I hope you're feeling brave. Time to engage beast mode.
مان مثل ما عم بقول لك ليه ما عم تصدقني؟ ولك راح ولك راح مع انه ظهرنا بس مره واحده سوا هي اللي عملت لي مسكول. هلا اوكي دقه واحده يمكن مغطى بالنمره يعني بس هي عملت لي مسكول يعني خلص وحده عليها.
Right, throw out your keyboards. The alphabet has officially gone rogue, and if you were thinking of climbing Mount Everest, you have the guts to tackle one of these.
It's hard to get fluent. It is. The journey to fluency is difficult.
So choose your poison here. Mandarin, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic. Category 5 is for those who really like a challenge. It's the hardest language category for English speakers. Exceptionally difficult, some might say.
No dots, 1 dots, 2 dots, 3 dots.
You've got these wildly unfamiliar scripts like Japanese kanji with thousands of characters, truly hard tones that are next level, in fact. So any hint of English at all?
这张照片看起来很 low， 这家饭店有点 low， 它的穿衣风格好 low 啊。
They like to use English words for fun, and that's all I'm going to say. I want you to see how good this young British guy is.
个中文讲座，关于中国的经济、政治、社会啊，历史、金融啊。包括所有这些方面，也就是说，我利用了我的中文的能力来提高我对其他方面的知识。
He definitely put in his 88 weeks. I mean, Mandarin is so different from English that in English it would sound something like this.
Okay 吧？ Hey, you have my number. Have. Next time have time together drink tea 啊。Good 啊 good 啊。I first go 啊。Bye.
And you might know that an Arabic hello is marhaba, but Arabic has deep guttural sound, emphatic sound. The word for coffee taps deep in the throat.
The word for coffee in Arabic is qahwa. Qahwa.
When you learn the beautiful script, you've then got to go backwards. That's right, it flows from right to left. Amazing if you love writing. And couldn't be further from English, which is why it's a number 5. But at the heart of these extreme languages, they are breathtaking and absolutely, most definitely possible to learn. I've learned a few of these category 5 languages myself. There are videos all over my YouTube channel if you care to go back long enough. What I found is that the mindset you've got to come at these category 5 languages with is really one of, there's a vesting period. There's a time where you've just got to get used to the language. You can't force it. You can't study your way through it. You've just got to expose yourself to the language for so long that it just becomes like your brain starts to rewire itself. There is just this period of time that it takes to get used to the language, and it will happen almost subconsciously without you realizing it. But you've got to allow that period to take place, and then the learning can really start. So these languages are legitimately no walk in the park, but guess what? They are also the most rewarding. So anyway, save your alligator tears for the next language because, ta-da, it is time to reveal the mystery language. You ready? From earlier, you remember that mystery language? The winner is Tagalog, official language of the Philippines. Now, if you said Filipino, you were close, half a point for you. The lovely script was a little bit sneaky of me. It's called Baybayin, and it's the way Filipinos used to write in pre-colonial times. Artists and poets, though, are still rocking it today. Well, Tagalog goes in category 4. Go on, brag in the comments. I'm going to read them and see who got it right. And just in case you're wondering if I put my 88 weeks in, well, I did, and then some, in 3 category 5 languages.
ある日、友達と一緒にカフェに行って、1時間日本語だけで話そうと決めました。難しかったけど、そのチャレンジが結構楽しかったんですよ。誰か友達、ネットで知り合った人と一緒にカフェに行って1時間日本語だけで話しました。1ヶ月後、 僕は別人のようになったんですよ、本当に。
Japanese gets a silver star on my chart because of a unique challenge. It has three completely separate writing systems: hiragana, katakana, and kanji. And you've got to learn all of them if you want to write in Japanese. Isn't that just thrilling? I mean, for me, all of this complexity, and the more different it is from English, the more attractive and enchanting it is for me. Personally, I find Japanese sounds to be really beautiful. It's a sort of melody of short syllables. Throw in some politeness levels and it all gets really, really nice. You should see Korean though. Korean has more than twice the number of politeness levels. In fact, easiest thing you can do of all in category 5 is actually to learn the Korean alphabet. It's insanely cool and you can do it in under a day, and you'll find out how in this video right here.